On this evening's editorial, we're joined by Lloyd D'Aguilar, convener of the People's Anti-Corruption Movement, for his views on the outcomes of the Nzinga King haircut issue. Welcome and good evening.
Good evening, good evening. Good to be here.
Good to have you.
Well, good. Well, let me begin by saying that the recommendations from the Director of Public Prosecutions are very disappointing. Nzinga King, her hair was cut in the police station after she was sentenced, and the investigation carried out by the Director of Public Prosecutions and INDECOM are lacking. And as a result, no charges have been laid against the police officer who pepper sprayed her. No charges have been laid against the police officer who cut her hair. And this is really, really terrible. Her phone was destroyed while she was in prison by the police officer. And she was also beaten by some of the inmates inside the prison while she was there. And the DPP didn't seem to be concerned about this. She mentioned witnesses who were not credible, who were just not credible. And, you know, let's start from the beginning of this thing. Nzinga King was in a taxi. There was a man inside the taxi and there was a woman with a child. The policeman apparently wanted to arrest the man inside the taxi, and he pepper sprayed everybody inside the taxi, including Nzinga King. She came out. She was very upset. She took off her mask because she couldn't breathe, and she protested to the police, "Why did you do that?" And anybody who has had the experience of being pepper sprayed knows what it feels like. So guess what? She was arrested by this policeman for disorderly conduct, for not wearing a mask and other things. Actually, she was arrested for not wearing a mask because she took off the mask. No, she went before the court, and when she went before the court, the police officer who arrested her did not show up. The judge, rather than postponing the case and say, well, you know, come back when the police officer is here to be able to present his evidence against you, he proceeded to charge her for disorderly conduct. But that is not what she was charged for. She was not charged for disorderly conduct. She was charged for not wearing a mask. So it is obvious that this judge decided to play the role of a policeman and charge her for disorderly conduct when that is not what she was charged for. And the DPP has not focused on this matter at all. She was not given a trial. She was not asked, are you innocent or are you guilty? Plus, she did not have a lawyer. And the Director of Public Prosecutions and INDECOM did not focus on this aspect of the matter. And it is because of what the judge did when she came before him while her hair was cut when she went inside the police lockup. Because if she had been given a trial, or the judge had said, well, come back next week or week after when the policeman is here to give evidence against you, then this would not have happened. But it happened because she did not have a lawyer. She's a poor woman, and this thing happens to a lot of poor people in this country. You go before a judge, you don't have a lawyer, and you really don't know what is going to happen to you. And we've seen many, many examples of things like this happening. So she went to court, and to the lockup, police lockup, and within a half an hour, the policewoman there decided to take her into the bathroom and start to cut her hair. But guess what? The DPP is saying that her hair was not cut. It was Nzinga who pulled out her hair. How ridiculous is that? Can you imagine what it would be like to pull out your hair, whether your hair is locks or whether it's just ordinary hair? Or I mean, that is just ridiculous. That is just impossible. And there's no credible evidence that she did that to herself. There's credible evidence that the policewoman cut her hair. I have been told that the policewoman even admitted in a television program a long time ago that she did in fact do that because Nzinga appeared suicidal to her and she didn't want her to have locks in there to hang herself, some nonsense like that. So these are the kind of things that goes to the credibility of this investigation by INDECOM and the public defender. I'm sorry, and by the Director of Public Prosecution. They have no credibility whatsoever, and it's an embarrassment. And I would just like to say that INDECOM has been created for the purpose of investigating police abuses and investigating police extrajudicial killings. But this Nzinga situation reveals the impotence of INDECOM, reveals the impotence in the sense that police extrajudicials continue. And the Director of Public Prosecutions exposes herself that she doesn't have the legal wherewithal to bring judges to book when they violate people's rights or to investigate police officers when they commit these kind of crimes against poor people. And you know, I should also say that the police officer admitted that he pepper sprayed her. If you read the recommendations from the DPP, but he said it wasn't in the car, right? But he did pepper spray. So what is the DPP saying? That if somebody curses a policeman or causes some bad word, the police has a right to pepper spray you? That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. And I believe that the police commissioner also has a duty to begin to tell the police what are the terms and the conditions under which pepper spray can be used against individuals. You cannot just casually use pepper spray against somebody because you don't like what they say or because you want to arrest somebody and they didn't respond to you right away, so you could pepper spray them. I mean, this is something that we need to talk about, that the DPP needs to look at, that that INDECOM should have addressed, and they didn't do it. And this is very disappointing, and I believe that the Director of Public Prosecutions should be examined in terms of the quality of her leadership and her legal acumen and that sort of thing. It is very, very, very disappointing and very upsetting for people who are in solidarity with Nzinga, and they're in solidarity with Nzinga not only because she's a Rastafarian, but because she's poor, and because it means that there are other poor people, there are other Rastafarians who are likely to suffer the same kind of treatment if they are, you know, arrested by the police or whatever that can happen. I mean, this is terrible. We know that in the past, people have been arrested and they have been sentenced without trial, and they have spent 50 years in lockup because they had mental problems.
Lloyd D'Aguilar, unfortunately, that's the time we have. But thank you so much for joining us on editorial this evening. Thanks for the perspective.